What's up, guys, and welcome to the channel. My name is Micah, and today we're going to be going over our Dodge Dakota build. So everything that we've done to it so far, all the parts that we've put on, anything that we plan to do, and of course I will link all those parts in the description. If you want to get those exact parts for your truck, the link will be down below. So without further ado, let's rip into it, guys. And first off, I will start by saying I absolutely love the Dodge Dakota platform, specifically the 97 to 2004. Our Dakota is going to be a 2004, but it's just a great platform because you can get them with a V8 engine. So we do have the 4.7 liter V8. They switched over halfway through the generation. The V8 they used to use was the 5.2 liter Dodge 318 V8. That was a super rock solid engine. The 4.7 isn't bad. I don't mind it. But I do like that you can get this truck with a V8. It comes in 4x4 configurations. They come in a quad cab. So if you gotta have a truck that has 4 doors that you can take all the family, all the friends you need anywhere you want, that is super convenient instead of just having an extended cab where you have to slide your seats forward and have somebody kind of crawl back in there. So I love that you can get it in the quad cab, the 4-door, and I just love the overall size of this truck, guys. It's not quite the big truck that a full size might be, you know, where when you get to parking it or you get into tighter space, heavier traffic, you know, you got to be very mindful of where your truck, you know, the dimensions of it are at. The Dakota is just a little bit smaller package. I also love that you can kind of squeeze this truck onto ATV and UTV trails. It's just small enough that that seems to work for us just fine. But that's probably enough of me rambling. Let's rip into the truck, what we've done to it, and all the parts that we used. So I suppose we'll just kind of start at the front and work our way back. The headlights. If you guys are familiar with the headlights on these Dodge Dakotas, they are absolutely terrible. I mean, normally they have a big amber piece that kind of runs across here, this kind of amber corner, and then the headlight itself is just kind of a milky color. You know, they were never clear from the factory, and I love just a crystal clear headlight. Now, clearly ours has dirt and bugs all over it, but you kind of get the idea. So the headlights that we got, this is an eBay headlight. I've gotten a few different kinds of these over the years for different Dakotas. These ones seem to hold up really well. They don't leak over time. They don't let in moisture. You know, I've got headlights before that they initially looked really cool, but after a couple months, you take it through the car wash, you can see moisture start to form little droplets inside that headlight. So you know that it wasn't great quality. It wasn't sealed up good. I've never had any problems with these. So I've used these headlights on 2 different Dakotas. They hold up really well. I love the look of them. So they make this headlight in a few different formats. You know, there is one that has just a little amber colored reflector in the corner. There's ones that kind of have black housings, you know, behind the lens. There's ones that are just completely chrome. We got the clear one without the amber corner, and then that kind of has the black housing behind the lens and kind of behind your mirrors, outlining those in there. I really like these headlights. They've never leaked on me. They're just crystal clear all the time. And so we put a LED bulb in the front. Our little turn signal lights, our marker light is LED as well. And so I really love those LEDs. They just shine very bright, especially in a clear headlight housing like this. So I love these headlights. I feel like they're around the $60 or $70 mark, which is pretty good because here in town, if I go to the junkyard and get a set of headlights off just some Dakota they had sitting in the yard, you know, they want $60 for the set of them. So to get these brand new for about the same price that look worlds better, that was an easy choice. So love the headlights, 5 stars on those. So, and you probably saw, we do have a roof basket on our truck. So I love trucks that have roof cargo baskets. You know, it looks just very adventure-y. It kind of gives it this overland type look, but these Dakotas were never offered with roof bars, with those cross members. So in order to do this to your Dakota, you are going to have to get some sort of a roof bar. So the roof bars that we got are kind of just a universal roof bar that has this clamp here. So it clamps onto the roof of your car. They are 48 inches wide, and that was kind of a fiasco of trying to decide what width of roof bars I wanted. You know, as I was looking around, it said that 48-inch crossbars were really just made for passenger cars and smaller vehicles. So at first I was thinking I would need the 54-inch wide roof bar, but as you can see, the 48-inch works just fine. This one specifically comes with 3 different mounting ends here. So depending on the shape of your truck or your car, you can kind of use whatever attachment, whatever end is going to work best for you. It did come with one that worked perfectly for our Dakota, so the other 2 I'm not using, but I'm going to save them in case I want to put this roof rack on another vehicle, another truck down the road. So that worked really good and was a great platform then to put our cargo basket on. If I recall correctly, those cross member bars, the roof bars, were about $54, I believe. And they've held up great. They're good quality. I would definitely recommend those. As far as the roof basket goes, you know, we just got kind of one of the universal eBay roof baskets. I've used these in the past, and I love the look of them. It's just kind of a bare bones roof rack. You know, you get your little front deflector here to kind of bring the wind up and over any cargo that you would have in there. So they sell these roof baskets in several different sizes. The one that we got is 64 inches long. So you could get a smaller roof basket, but I've always liked the look of when that roof basket goes from the very back of the cab all the way to about where your windshield starts. So you can see that ours maybe extends just an inch or 2 over the windshield, but I love the look of that size of basket on a quad cab Dakota. So these roof baskets do not come assembled. It's gonna come in a box. They come in a few different pieces, and it is extremely easy to assemble these. So they're kind of built in sections. So you will just attach your front section to the middle section. There's gonna be a little bolt up here on the top that you will put in, one on the bottom there. That kind of holds your sections together. You kind of get these side metal plates here that you can clamp on. I love the look of those. And then there's kind of just a universal mount that you could put this on any single roof rack, any crossbar, you know, that you had. So you just kind of cinch them down to your cross member. You know, you can put these clamps anywhere you want on the basket. So if you wanted a clamp further up here, or if you wanted one further back, you know, you have plenty of options there. So in the description, you know, I'll put the link to the 64-inch basket. I'll also put a link to the shorter, the smaller one. And then I believe they have a 67 or a 69-inch basket as well. I'll throw that in there just in case you guys want options. You kind of want to see them all. All those baskets will be linked in the description. And probably the best part of this roof basket is going to be the weight capacity of it. So this one can carry 150 pounds is what it's rated to. And I absolutely need that because I wanted to put a full-size tire, full-size rim spare up there. So our tire, you know, we do have larger tires on this truck. So the tire with the factory rim up there is over 100 pounds. So we definitely needed a cargo basket that could hold that weight everywhere that we're driving. So love the 150 pound capacity that rack will have. If you're looking around, you'll kind of find that some of these name brands, some of these high dollar roof baskets that get close to the $1,000 mark have a very low weight capacity. You know, I've seen 50, 55, 60 pounds is the capacity for your roof basket. Now that's fine if you wanted to just put one suitcase or something up there, but if you want to rock a full size spare, you'll absolutely want that higher weight capacity rack. I put this exact basket on a different vehicle that I had that I kind of did a build off of. I had that rack on there for about 4 years. It never spent one day in a garage. It was outside in the elements, getting driven every single day, and that basket held up great. You know, whatever paint, whatever finish they put on these, for as cheap as they are, I never had any problems. So knowing that I had one of those, it was time tested, it held up great, it made it an easy decision to decide to go with one of those again for this truck. And actually the one that we got came with 2 black ratchet straps, and then there's a big bungee style cargo net that it came with as well, a freebie they tossed in. So that's kind of nice. Would recommend the rack, 5 stars there. If I recall, I think it's just over $100. Now, since we switched out the headlights on our truck, of course we did the taillights as well. Since this truck does have a third brake light, you know, I wanted to get a third brake light that kind of matched the style of taillight that we decided to do. So the third brake lights are really cheap for this truck. It seems like they kind of range between $10 and $20. I mean, they're nothing. There's all kinds of different styles. You know, if you wanted something clear, something smoked out, something with a chrome housing, white housing, black housing. If you want LEDs on the side and then red in the middle, there's just a million different options there. The one that I decided to go with does have a clear lens. It's not a smoked lens, but then it does have kind of a black housing behind that lens. You know, it's totally LED. So your 4 LEDs in the center here are going to be red. The 2 on the outside are going to be white. So that kind of has your third brake light function. It has your cargo light function, since you do have a switch on the inside just left of your steering wheel to turn on just your cargo lights. But it just has a really slick appearance. It's very easy to install those. It's just 2 screws, and then they come with that foam gasket, that foam seal to put behind this to give it a really good seal. I've used a couple of these in the past. I've never had a problem with them. If I recall correctly, I think this was $17. So definitely jump on one of those. They look really slick, kind of just makes the back end of your truck a little bit more tasteful. Oh, and now for the brake lights and the tail lights. You know, sorry, I did not wash the truck. This is my daily driver, so everything gets dirty, you know, and of course we like to go out to muddy areas and just play around and get dirty. It's kind of our daily routine. But the taillights we chose, I used these on another Dakota I had. I've used a few different kinds of taillights over the years. And a lot of these LED taillights I've noticed will kind of leak over time. You know, the plastic will fade. They just lose their appearance, you know, really, really fast. With another truck I had, I settled on these taillights after trying a few different ones, and they hold up great. So the seal around them is just really nice. I've never had these collect moisture after time. You kind of get all of your red LEDs in there. There is just a couple on the side as well that kind of function as a side marker. You do get one little red reflector here, and then you will get your reverse light down below. So all together, they're a really slick taillight. I kind of like the clear lens, you know, with the black housing in there. That just kind of seems to be the theme that I wanted to go with on this truck. So the headlight, the taillights, you know, our third rear brake light, everything is the clear lens with kind of the black background. And so with us having a black Dakota, I thought that was an easy choice. And then another thing I'll say that's nice about these taillights is that they come with a little resistor box. So you can throw these taillights in your stock Dakota. You're not going to get that hyper turn signal. So you get that little resistor that is wired into the headlights, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, overall, love those taillights. Absolutely would recommend those. I feel like they were also around the $50, $60, maybe $70 mark. I'd have to check, but I feel like around 50 bucks. So that's not bad. Would recommend those, 5 stars in my opinion. Well, and then you may have noticed that our Dakota just sits a little bit higher than, say, your Dakota or a lot of Dakotas out there. And that's because we have 2 different lift kits on this Dakota here. So we did the 3-inch performance accessories body lift, and then I've done a 2-inch suspension lift on it as well. So we'll kind of just talk about those individually to give you guys the gist of what that entails and how I like them after installing both of those on my truck, you know, and driving it around every single day for a couple months now. Well, I'll start by saying that I've done the combination of the body lift and the suspension lift on these Dakotas before. I love the finished product, the overall look of the truck. I mean, it's just so good. It stances it up just a little bit. You know, the height of it overall, your roof is going to be just over what, say, your standard full-size truck, where that would sit. As far as your clearance from the ground up to about the bottom of the body, it's just over 2 feet. So obviously the body lift is going to raise your body, not the frame. So your frame is going to sit down a little bit below the body there, as you can see. But the body lift is very straightforward, so it does not affect the drivability, the suspension of the truck in any which way. Ours is going to be the V8 automatic transmission that has the automatic electronic transfer case. So that is the ideal setup for a body lift. It's the least amount of work. And that's because you don't have a stick shift truck. So otherwise you have to extend that stick shift, that rod, in order to get that to function correctly. And if you have a manual actuated transfer case, you know, I believe they had those from 97 to 2000. I believe they switched over to the electronic knob in 2001 for their four-wheel drive. But if you have the manual shift transfer case, you will need to get in there, cut that rod, weld in an extension to get that lever up to the right height. So with us having just the automatic transmission and then the electronic transfer case, you know, we didn't have to do either of those. So it's really just a matter of loosening all your body bolts, taking the bumpers off front and rear. You'll do a couple little things under the hood of taking wiring harnesses, brake lines, you know, off of their little brackets, and then either rerouting them or putting in a little extension on that bracket so that it can sit up higher to accommodate the body being a few inches higher. I am going to make a video on the specific performance accessories body lift for these trucks, and in that video, whenever I decide to do that, I will show you guys a few tricks as well. There's a few things you can do, a few corners that you can cut that Performance Accessories does not mention in their instructions for that body lift, and it just makes that whole experience way easier for you if you kind of know the things you can do to get around some of the very labor-intensive steps. So that is coming soon, but just to give you an idea of what those body spacers look like that we put on our truck. So getting under the body, that's our frame. You can kind of see the 3-inch pucks that we put in here to get our body 3 inches higher off the frame. So, and then it does come with your different bumper extension brackets as well. You will need those because your bumpers are going to sit 3 inches lower than your cab did if you do not use the bumper extension, the bumper raising brackets. So those are really easy. You can kind of see we put one on here, and it just is going to take your bumper and raise it up a little bit higher, you know, than obviously it would sit, so that then the finished product after you body lift your truck, your bumpers are sitting up where they need to be. All right, so now the suspension lift on this truck. The suspension lifts on these are fairly easy. So if you have a 4-wheel drive Dakota, you are going to have a torsion key suspension in the front end. So if you're familiar with those torsion keys, what that is, you essentially have a long steel rod that goes into your lower control arm on your truck. That rod comes back and is in a hex key, well, torsion key is what it's called, but it has a hex-shaped opening. That rod has a hex-shaped opening, and there is pressure on that, and that is what twists your lower control arms down and gives you your front suspension. So there's a bunch of lifts for these out there that will give you re-indexed different torsion keys than your factory ones are. So those re-indexed torsion keys will give you more adjustment than your stock keys have, in that you can adjust those keys, twisting that rod, lowering those control arms and your front tires to raise the front end of your vehicle. So just so you guys can kind of see that quick, I'll show you. So we go under the truck, there is our lower control arm, and you can see our torsion rod fits right in there. The end of it is hex-shaped. Now that rod is going to run back under your frame here, and it comes back to about right here, and it's in this torsion key. That is our hex-shaped torsion key. There is an adjustment bolt right under here, and that is connected to this little wing that extends from that key. So adjusting this bolt will kind of raise and lower that key and adjust the angle that that is twisting that torsion bar at. So you could put in your different re-indexed torsion keys, but that is going to put all of your suspension components in the front end at a very aggressive angle. So you can max out those re-indexed torsion keys, and your lower control arms are going to be dropping, lifting the front end of your vehicle, but all of your ball joints, your CV shafts, everything's going to be at such an aggressive angle, it's going to cause a lot of wear and tear on the front suspension of your truck if you put in those re-indexed torsion keys and crank them all the way to get, say, 3 inches from your suspension. Now, what you can do on these trucks is the factory torsion keys that are already on your truck have plenty of adjustment already. So if you take those and you crank down those torsion keys, you can get 2 inches of lift on the front end from your Dakota just right out of the gate. You do not need the indexed torsion keys to get 2 inches. So when we cranked those on our truck, we got 2¼ inches out of the front factory torsion keys. So knowing that I could get 2 inches out of the front end on our truck, I just got some rear lift blocks for the factory leaf springs that were 2 inches, and so then we raised up the rear 2 inches to kind of match that 2 inches we got from the front end just on our factory torsion keys. So, and that's what I would recommend. You know, if you want to jack this truck up, I would do the combination of the body lift, so you get 3 inches there, crank your factory torsion keys, and then just put 2-inch blocks in the rear. So then you get a total of 5 inches of lift. You know, it's very easy to do yourself. Your front end suspension is not at such aggressive angles that it's gonna wear things out prematurely. And then it makes it so to do a suspension lift on this truck, all you have to do is just buy 2-inch rear suspension blocks to put under your leaf springs. So we'll kind of dive under here so you guys can see that. So there is our leaf spring, and you can see those blocks in there, those black blocks. So they're 2 inches thick. So that kit comes with the longer U-bolts that are going around your axle. So you will need the combination of both of those, the blocks with the longer U-bolts. It's very straightforward to put in. You essentially just take off your factory U-bolts. You will jack up the rear end of your truck, kind of separating those leaf springs from your axle, and then you just slide your blocks in. You will lower your truck on those. You put your U-bolts, your extended U-bolts over those. You put your factory plate back on the bottom, cinch everything down, and then you're good to go. So those are very easy to install yourself, you know, with just basic hand tools and, say, a jack. So if you get a suspension kit for this truck that has the re-indexed torsion keys along with the blocks, I feel like it's around the $150 to $200 mark. Whereas if all you buy is just your rear blocks with your extended U-bolts, and then you crank your factory torsion keys, all you have to buy is those rear blocks and the extended U-bolts. The brand that we went with is Supreme Suspensions. I've gone with them a lot for different cars in the past. Their quality is great. Their product ships fast. You know, their customer service is awesome if you ever have questions. But just getting the rear blocks with those extended U-bolts, I feel like it was around $70. It was under 100, I believe. So, you know, it's a fraction of the cost of getting the kit that has those re-indexed keys. I would not use those. I would kind of stay away from them. Well, so now I think the only thing we have left to cover is going to be the tires that we decided to put on our truck. So since we did a 3-inch body lift and then we got 2 more inches out of our suspension for that 5 inches of lift, you're able to fit 35-inch tires on these Dakotas with the combination of those 2 lifts. And I just use the factory rims. I do not splurge on getting nicer rims just because I want that factory offset. So when you're doing 35s, if you got aftermarket rims or spacers that is moving your tire out further than it would have been, you know, it's going to rub on your frame. It's going to rub on the front bumper. You're going to have to do a lot of trimming, but I don't know if you could trim enough to with where that's gonna hit on your frame back here. I feel like if you don't use the factory back spacing, if you don't have factory rims, you're just gonna rub too much with 35s. You might only be able to go to 33s if you want a tire that's spaced out more than factory. But with us just having the factory rims, you know, we did the 35-inch tire. So this tire, we have a 16-inch factory rim. So the size of this tire is gonna be 315 by 75 by 16. So and that equates to a tire that's 35 inches tall, it's 12.5 inches wide, obviously being made for that 16-inch wheel. So we went with the Ironman All Country Mud Terrain tire. So it's gonna be a 10-ply mud tire. I love the look of these with just the large blocks. You know, it's not your traditional looking mud tire. And these tires have just done incredible for me. The grip you get from them is second to none. I've always seen these tires in the past online, and I always wondered about getting them for a vehicle that I had, you know, whether it's a little SUV, truck. The tread always looked kind of different, unique to me, those big blocks as compared to some of your other mud terrain tires. The price was always right, you know, as far as like a bigger mud tire, the price on these is pretty affordable compared to a lot of other tires out there. I always do the 10-ply tire because that gives me peace of mind, and so for this truck, for this build, I decided to go with those Ironmans. Best decision I've ever made. These are my absolute favorite mud tire I have ever used. Now, and even if you have a different car besides a Dodge Dakota, you know, something that you want to put mud tires on, say it doesn't need 35-inch tires, say you want a 29 or a 31 or a 33. There is all different sizes of these Ironman mud terrains out there. So regardless of what size you need, I would definitely consider these for a mud tire for yourself if you're looking around in the future. The price is right, they hold up great. The grip, the performance is second to none, and that's in mud, sand, gravel, grass, snow, water. They've just done exceptional for me in all different environments. Well, and I think that's gonna do it for our video, guys. Let me know if you have any questions on any of those parts that we talked about. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible, give you all the answers, all the info I can. Otherwise, yeah, I'm super satisfied with all those parts, everything that we've put onto it. The truck handles great. I drive it every single day. It's working out awesome. So, like the video if this helped you out, subscribe if you want to see more, and until next time, have a great night, guys.